What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in for another fantastic live stream. I know I've kind of moved this one on the time up a little bit. Not again, as like if you're here on the U.S., you know that we had a time change today. That had nothing to do with the move of the live stream today. It was more or less the move of due to the fact of we've been having pretty frantic windstorms here. By windstorms, I mean large gust of wind of excess of 30 miles per hour, and again, that kind of does a little hindrance to the power, and it kind of creates a flicking environment, more or less creating an environment where it's not the most stable to stream. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind that. So without further ado, I hope everyone's doing well out there. I know a couple people have stopped by and said hey, and they're going to be coming by. I saw Fish and Alpaca already up in this chat, kind of there bright and early. Of course, yes. Alan, howdy. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're holding up well. I know this week has been last week was very hellish. It was not a fun experience for folks who were long. I know that it's so extremely tough, especially when you see the market go down, such of the move that we saw come Monday, Tuesday, and then kind of some of we've seen kind of going forth. I don't have many trades that I'm putting on due to the fact that I've told the Patreon and the YouTube members that, hey, I'm really just sitting on my hands and just kind of waiting things out in the short term. I have my longer dated positions, but I am really not doing next to nothing. Maybe coming into next week, once we kind of get some kind of a direction of where we could be going. Because if we're looking here on the S&P 500 right now, this is the futures market, we're kind of seeing somewhat of a bottoming pattern. Again, not saying this is the bottom, anything can happen, but this is definitely something to be looking out for. We are hitting the 144, which is the 144, which is a Fibonacci number. It's hitting that little green line here. That's the 144 exponential moves there here on the EMA. This has been a very drastic downturn. We start seeing some levels break below like that 3,200. We could be saying hasta la vista, baby, and hitting some very deep low moves. Again, I am not trying to predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what could be happening. I just know I have to get ready for some potential moves to the upside or downside. So it's a quick little recap. If we start breaking below that 3,200 level, really kind of breaking past that low we just saw at the end of like September timeframe, that could be kind of a longer road down. But if we start leveling off here around that 3244, 3250 level, that could be a nice little pattern for a potential slightly base building opportunity. But we don't want to be also caught short-sighted on like putting all our hopes and dream of this, maybe this base holding, because that can easily slip the carpet underneath us and give us a nice little face plant into the ground. With that being said, what I like to see and like to really see some come through, which not the most likely, is to really have it hold here at this lows here and start making its way up to that 3,400. That 3,400 is going to be another key level as well to the upside, and really see on how this really kind of pans out here. Again, we are seeing that 5 and 8 have already crossed through the 21 EMA here on the daily side, but you kind of see the pattern is somewhat slowing down here. And trying to build a curve here, kind of create that bowl effect here. But that doesn't mean that it can just easily jump down, because again, we got the election coming out, and this election has probably been one of the craziest ones that I've seen in a while. Again, I'm only 32 years old, so I've seen some crazy elections. But definitely going to be a circus show without the doubt. But yeah, it's something I'm going to be again, still sitting on my hands. I'm not really buying any short-dated stuff, like trades or anything like that, or options, especially options, because the volatility right now is just really crazy. I'm selling some premium and some stuff, but nothing to really write home about. I'm doing like crazy out of the money, selling a premium like at like the 20 delta, but who knows if that can even be reached at this point. Brian, what's up, my friend? What do you think about these swing trades? Rocket, DK, Fastly, and Overstock. Thanks. So as you can see, like all those stocks, you're gonna really see kind of a same pattern of a very drastic kind of a downward trend here. With Rocket, it broke past that $20 level. Now it's kind of moving down here, and kind of slowly kind of creating lower, with no really bottom in sight due to the fact of the 5 and 8 moving averages haven't really recovered or kind of make a still pointing to the ground. And then poor old D King, that thing has been a very sharp downturn as well. You can kind of see here with those Fibonacci retracements, it has broken past through almost every level. The 5 and 8 are still aggressively pointing down, and not really showing any sign of resistance. We did bounce off the 200 EMA on Friday. Again, that was just a very short-term bounce, but the moving averages need to start building a base here. This has just been continuing on a downward projection, something that I really don't want to be touching. Fastly, talk about a downturn. This thing, of course, has done kind of the same pattern on that huge announcement of Snap or whatever, has basically moved down at the same site of hitting that 200 EMA here. That is trying to find maybe some resistance around $63. It already had earnings, so that's kind of out of its way. So it kind of gives a little extra point for that. But that being said, this thing has just been very much beaten up and has just been taking on a lot of water. And then last but not least, you're looking for OSTK, which is Overstock, I believe. Yeah. So this one just had earnings as well. Huge down move as well on earnings. Want to give it a little bit of time to kind of prove itself back and kind of build a base. Again, it could make a nice V-shaped recovery and just come out of nowhere, but I'd rather just give it benefit of the doubt and kind of let it build a base for me first before I start jumping into this one as well. So hopefully that was helpful there. Elaborate, would you recommend doing 10 Delta Iron Condors on SPY weeklies? So yeah, that I kind of am doing that, but I'm doing it, yeah, around the 10 delta. But again, I had adjusted midweek because of that large downturn we had on Tuesday. So that's where I'm just like I got really hesitant, and I just kind of took a really step back, and I just said, you know what, I need to refocus and not buy. I just need to kind of take it easy and just kind of let this stuff pass. The volatility is high, but I can always get back in there as well. We need more founder to feed the YOLO blood gods. More fodder. Da, da, da. Fishes, can you do squeeze, please? Thinking about 180 calls. What time? Thanks. SQ square. So that, again, that thing has been, that kind of had a pretty sharp sell off as well, coming forth. In front of earnings as well too. Again, as earnings is coming out on Thursday, I believe, and this really just got hit hard. With this one, we are looking for, again, the support kind of come into that 50% retracement here around 150, nice round number, 152. Looking for that potential to bounce, but this huge down move on a Friday, like it's not a really good look, lack of a better words, fish. Want to see how it trades tomorrow. We'll kind of maybe get a slight base, but the futures market's kind of been flopping around a little bit too, so I'm going to be not really tied to that. But this is definitely, it has just crossed the 21 EMA with the 5 and 8, but this is definitely something to be a little bit hesitant about. I know earnings last quarter were great, but don't want to be completely tied to that yet because, again, even though the numbers could be great, there could be some negative narrative to it. And I think you already know that I'm not a big fan of holding calls into earnings as well. Alan, yes, it was definitely a shit week. Yes. I really do hope, I'm not looking forward to this week as well. But the good thing to look at, Alan, is just maybe looking for some potential opportunities that the marketplace could give us. I know a lot of folks that are getting into just a little more stable stuff. Like I know I was trying to I've been just looking at charts and looking at things like CSX. That was a great. This is like could be a nice setup. It's made. It was actually up the last 2 days while the whole market was down, and that seemed a little bit strange to me. And same with ABT Abbott Laboratories has definitely also kind of made a little bit of a recovery here. But again, none of these stocks are really like screaming at you on like go go go. Pins, of course, had a great earnings last week, but now it looks like that could be potentially coming down a little bit as well there. So yeah, definitely something I'm just kind of sitting on the sideline, Alan. I think you are well aware of that since I let the members know what my intentions are. And if there is anything that I am nibbling, I won't be doing much of it. Maybe some intraday trades, but nothing to really write home about, just to kind of keep myself from doing stupid things. Tanner says October was my most profitable month. Nice. Yeah, choppy markets are good for some things, without a doubt. Like selling a premium is good. Volatility is always high. Directionally based, it's hard, very hard because again, I like to follow trends, and the trend was just chop, chop, chop. Happy Halloween, my man. Are you even at deadly Tesla calls? Yeah, Tesla that got kind of obliterated by the market. Poor old Tesla. Uh, it has broken through that support level around 400 we talked about, and got cut here. Nice little haircut, and it looks like it wants to potentially start breaking lower. If it can hold here above that 380 to 385 and kind of not bleed any lower, we could see some short-term support. But we're really looking for some initial support around 380 to hold and see how that Tesla can perform from that level going forth. Leo, can we do Facebook, please? Yep. FB. Of course, this one has also been hit again due to the overall, like the selling in the industry. If it's linked to any government issues or, excuse me, get some water, or some government issues that definitely could be tied to that. But again, Facebook is coming down to some key levels around that 258. It kind of bounced off of that. But something that I really don't want to be looking into holding, especially God only knows when they can blame it on the election if one person wins over the other. So we'll definitely have to be very careful and be mindset on that. Yeah, Twitter does look weak. Yeah, I agree, DT. I think that really got a like, didn't even get a haircut. It got its legs kicked off. It's like that. What's that movie? Oh, whoa, shoot! What is that called? Oh no, no, no. Oh, oh, it's Mighty. Mm, Mighty Python and the Holy Grail Knight. What is that guy? Yes, 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 yes. This guy. Where he says, "You shall not pass," and he basically gets all his legs, arms cut off, and he still tries to fight the king to try to get by to not let him pass his bridge. It's basically um, Twitter's kind of hanging on that thread. Their legs have been kicked off. Now there's kind of walking around on their arms and just trying to finish and cut off thing off. But this thing has literally been beaten down substantially. Being said here, really seeing that potentially hit that level around $40 here. Looking for potentially a support level. But that being said, this has been such a large move down. It's not just a flesh wound. Um, David S., you have no legs? God bless you. But it's just a flesh wound, though. On with Twitter's just really got annihilated, and with this very large move down, we could be potentially looking for even hitting to that 35. But again, I don't want to be jumping out and catching this hot knife here because this hot knife could really hurt. Try to catch a falling knife. If you ever try to catch a falling knife before, I wouldn't recommend it. My average cost for Tesla is 330. Should I sell over time to a lower price? Brian, that's up to you. Again, I'm a longer shareholder of Tesla, so I don't like to sell my stock is substantially lower. I need to go break. Uh, I need to have the what do I need? Tesla needs to like break below like 200 for me to get any kind of negative um, to get really get below my cost average. Depending on what your time frame is, Brian, and what you're looking for to get out of it, it's very hard for me to sell a longer traded position because it's going to take me forever to get back into it. Because I'm like, oh, I owned it at $200. Like, why did I sell at this limit? Like, just kind of maybe be patient and depending on maybe do some inner thinking of why you want to own that stock. Yeah, the VIX scares the hell out of me. Yeah, timing is everything in the VIX. What happened to Workhorse? I think people just lost faith. People just lost faith. Oops, just lost faith and just like I kind of just gave up on it and just said, you know what, like I'm out. Peace. Don't want to see you. And then the Bears just came in and just did their happy dance all over it, and just didn't allow them to really recover from that. With the overall just waiting and waiting for this allured government contract or whatever was happening, I'm sure that if it does get it, it can go high. But I think it was a little bit too highly levered to that, and just people really lost patience and just really just kind of just took it down from there, and just really wasn't really able to recover from that, honestly. Because just imagine if you bought it in at these levels up here, because again, we're talking a lot of volume coming in around that 24 to the $30 level, and that just gets cut, just whoosh, right off its head. And all those people are trying to run out to those exits to be able to get out of those stock or whatever, and that just drives it down. I heard about that. I don't know if that was like a legit thing about CNN. That'd be kind of interesting because he bought. I live in DC, outside of DC. He bought the Washington Post, and people were like, "Oh, that's so weird that this billionaire is buying a Washington Post." Like, no, it's not. Like, he can do what he wants. He has the most money in the world. He wants to control his empire. Shouldn't control the narrative. Um, yeah, a lot of SPACs have been getting killed. Like between this, well, Workhorse was a SPAC, or no, sorry, Ride was getting killed. Hyliion was getting killed. Of course, Nikola is still alive somehow. All these stocks have, again, they're all in the EV market and they're all trying to make that rush into the marketplace to potentially see it go higher. But that being said, not all stocks or things are created equal. There are some winners and there's some losers. There's definitely some losers in this pack. F, yeah, Allen. I actually like F. Like they are trying to compete in the market. Like I know we talked about this one before. I bought in some shares into this around like that 675, rode up to 7, and now it's been performing really well. The earnings were doing fantastic. Like they're releasing the Bronco, and there's talks about their EV F-150 and other various components coming from there. So this is definitely something to be really looking out for. I think Ford, don't count it out until it dies. David says, "What happened to Piton earnings soon?" Yeah, Piton. It's just like with Piton had such that huge run up. It just got so overbought here on the daily chart. You can see here on the RSI got overbought here. Um, with it holding the 5 and 8 moving averages for such a long period of time, it just wanted once the market got shook up, people wanted to to hold those profits they made weeks prior. So they just all run to the door to try to get out and get into a profit or try to sell out and get to a profitable share price there. So that's basically what happened there. But this one being said, yeah, it has earnings on the 5th. Interesting. It's holding the 34 EMA here. But if the 5 and 8 start crossing through the 21 EMA, we can potentially see it come down to 100 to 103. But I definitely like Piton long term, but not at these prices. Needs to go substantially lower for me to get into this. I have no idea who's going to win the election, and I don't know the play for it. I think the overall play is just have a watch list of stocks that you like, and if they get on discount, you add to them or you start buying into them. Do I track statistics on some patterns? Uh, Not like by the book but I look at a lot of transactional stuff on if it breaks the 21 EMA, I usually just get out because it's usually like an 80% time where it just continues to go lower. Sammy, yes, I am actually dyslexic, yes. I agree, yes, the Mustang, which is not even a coupe Mustang where they usually have it, is definitely ugly. Thoughts for tomorrow is just buckle your seatbelt. We don't know what could happen. Anything can happen. Who can we look at? Baba, yeah, let's look at BA. This thing has been holding steady, even though the whole market's been kind of just really sloppy and just not trading very well. This is definitely something to kind of be to really check out and be very careful and be mindset of that about. We are hitting the 21 EMA even on a downturn in the market. We're looking for this potentially to hold with earnings coming out on what day is this, please? The 5th as well. Okay, we have every earnings coming out on the 5th this week. Okay, it's going to be a very interesting day. With this whole chop in the market, this thing has been performing very well. So that's a very good observation on your end. Long as it stays above 21 EMA, on earnings, I'm not the world's largest fan to hold calls or things like that into it due to the fact of anything can happen and it could bring it up, down, left, right, or sideways. So if earnings are great, we're going to be looking for it potentially break that 319 to 320 level or ceiling that we saw here. Then downside support is going to be coming in around 295 or the 34 EMA to the downside. Andrew says pins. Yeah, pins. I hope you had some of that for earnings, or if you were in a longer dated position, I'm sure you were extremely happy. This one has been a monstrous stock. Really just coming out of nowhere. But it was down and out IPO stock that came out a little over a year ago plus. Was it kind of just in a downward trend here if we go to like the weekly side? It was kind of just not doing much of anything. Built a nice base and then had a great quarter, ramped it up, and now has having another fantastic quarter, and is now really ramping up to potentially continue this 5 and 8 exponential moving average on pins. That being said, it's not going to be completely cut out from the overall market. So the overall market wants to come back a little bit and sell off. It's going to definitely take pins with it. But some initial support going to be coming around 55 and then around that 48 to 49, sorry, 48 to $49 level too for some support there. The Disney's one that also has been getting hit, but we're seeing some potential support coming in around $17 to $16. That being said, if the overall market wants to continue going lower, it's definitely going to take Disney with it because, of course, Disney's tied to a lot of the lockdown or if we get more lockdowns or for whatever reason, Disney's going to be directly affected by it due to the fact of sports, the parks. Of course, no one's going to the movie theaters and different various aspects like that. really their only core source of revenue is the Disney Plus streaming service. BBW. Build the Bear Workshop. Holy moly. How is what is going on with this one? This is the one you think you brought up last week. Like what's going on over there? They just released like a Mandalorian Yoda pet this time now? Is that what made this go higher? Ethan, what's a good resource to learn about the stock market? I'm turning 18 in a couple weeks and get a understanding before I start investing. Wall Street probably doesn't cut it for advice. Yeah, don't listen to Wall Street Bets for anything if you want real sound advice or any kind of honestly intelligent investing or anything like that. For investing, it's honestly just read a lot of books and like Peter Lynch. He has a good book out that came out many years ago. It's a little bit dated, but there's really good materials coming off of that. And just listen to Bill Ackman or other longer term investors or traders that you like. There's a lot of TED Talks and other various things on YouTube to kind of hear people's trading and investing philosophies. Yeah, what does Build a Bear have a vaccine working? Do they get funding from the government to make a vaccine inside the bear? Like, what is that? I have no idea what a good election strategy is. Is maybe just to again, if I had to play election strategy, I think the premiums of stuff of just selling calls or selling puts on just getting premium if you're able to do it naked because it's going to be creating a lot of volatility without a doubt. Andrew, I really don't know on how the market would affect between Trump or Biden. I know the basic logistics of folks who are honestly saying like, oh, if President Trump remains in office, that the market's just going to be continue going where it's going, or if Biden wins, da da da. I honestly feel the market doesn't really care. I think that most people just want to get it done and over with. I'm just saying that from what I'm hearing and what I understand in the market. That being said, there's definitely some industries that would perform better with more or less regulations. I just don't know the trades, honestly. Yeah, futures are up, aren't they? Yeah, we just did Disney, Leo. I think we talked about PayPal already. DMC 82 what's up, my friend? Did you look at Microsoft thinking about buying the 97 to 200? What is Microsoft at? Yeah, so Microsoft's kind of coming down to that 144 EMA, potentially bouncing. Again, that being said, very mindful of the overall market, very overall market. This is something that looks like some potential uh, um, initial support. That doesn't mean that it has to be support. If the overall market wants to go down, it's definitely going to take Microsoft with it. It'll be a very large component in a lot of ETFs, so be mindful on that. Potentially creating a smaller position to add to it, I think that might be very wise to maybe if you wanted to add, let's say, just make a nice round number, $1,000 worth of it. If you added 200 to 20 to 25% of that position initially to start out and see how it goes, I think that's worthwhile. Sydney says, "Well, could you look at Apple? I could see it trading sub 100 for a while." Yeah, Apple. I don't know what the flip flop they're doing over there. Taking the I don't know if people. I don't think people even know this. You know that they're not for the newer iPhones. They're not including the the headset or the little headphones and the charger with it. like that's an extra cost now. I find that kind of scammy, and I find that really cheap, especially for a company that's supposed to be making things simplistic and cool. And yeah, this definitely has not been trading as well as other stocks, and we're seeing that really kind of come through the chart. Like again, like we just look at Microsoft and other companies, it hasn't broken that low that we just saw around that really strong sell-off that we saw in September. So, but we are very close to it. So be mindful of that. Okay, it was something. My Zoom analysis. Okay, looking at Zoom. Of course, Zoom going to be a nice little play in the overall market. This thing has definitely come down. You see that I have an alert here, basically around like 450 level, which is a key level to hold here. If it can hold here above, let's just say 447, even down to 428, that still could be a potential holding pattern. But over the past 3 days, you can see these very large red candles. That's usually not a good look for any kind of stock. We are seeing the first signs of the 5 and 8 crossing through the 21, so that's also not a great sign. With the parabolic SER, that's kind of carrying it down, and everything just kind of pointing somewhat towards the ground. Zoom is known for not to really build a lot of bases and just jump up. It usually just has very aggressive moves up or down because again, a lot of funds are trading it. It's one of the stocks that is like key on the work from home environment, and people just love it or hate it. Honestly, uh, that being said, so key takeaways: we could potentially see it come down to around 428, even to 450 to potentially to hold. They can build a base or any kind of tight consolidation. With the 5 and 8 crossing to the 21, we need to be very mindful of that. As long as we can stay above that and really see that move to start breaking back above 480 there. David S says, can we look at NLS? Ooh, okay. So this is like a Peloton one, right, David? We're seeing some bounce off the 34 EMA, which is a good sign, actually. We've seen that bounce off the 34 EMA before and kind of come back to it. It's kind of been slowly grinding down to it. You see this really unique candle here kind of showing some overall pressure to go higher. The 5 and 8 have not crossed through the 21 EMA, so this trend is still somewhat intact. Be very mindful that we do have earnings coming up pretty soon on the 9th of November. So be very mindful of that. But this is definitely looks like if it can stay above that like $20 level, this looks like it potentially could go higher. And yeah, Benjamin Graham is an okay book, but there's only like a couple of chapters that are worthwhile. I think it's like chapter 10 or 11. That and like chapter 20, I think it is the only ones you should be reading. The bear is the vaccine. I don't say it's anytime safe to sell put spreads, but Amazon is definitely one. Even though it had a great quarter, but it's spending a lot of money due to vaccine, due to the environment that it's in, and of course, if we get more shutdowns or lockdowns, of course, Amazon's going to profit from that greatly again. Hopefully, there's no toilet paper runs again on the market. So that's going to be definitely interesting there. If Amazon can stay above that 3,000 level, I think it's going to be just fine. But will it be selling premium on it? Most likely not, due to the fact of the very crazy moves and, of course, the spreads in Amazon. You have to really trade it in spreads because some of these options are crazily priced in Amazon, being a well over a $3,000 stock. I know. Is that Tupperware? TPUP? Like, this is mind-boggling, right? Everyone is no longer going out to eat. They're just going to be home and getting their frozen dinners and putting it back into Tupperware to reheat for the next day. It's just hilarious. Hey, what's up, Trevor? Arcade looks good. Yeah, the Arc investments again, they're going to be basically doing a lot of the trading for you. So Nasdaq futures again, anything is a crapshoot. If we can stay above 11, what is that? 1183. That's going to be a pretty key level to kind of start breaking above. We are still seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages really not showing any signs of recovery. This the overall move continue going down. If we do get a pop up in the Nasdaq and it not doesn't break above like that 11,347, that's just going to be continuous still downward movement there. But that's all I can really say on that one. So what are your thoughts? Would be a massive market goes down. Tesla, I love. Some people have convinced me that I need to get into NIO. I still love some other key AMD as well. We did go over Piton. Piton was definitely one that again has been hit in the market, but it looks like it's kind of holding that 34 EMA here. It can come down to around that 103 to even 100 level, but this looks like if this can kind of get a recovery with the overall market come tomorrow, this could hold around the 110 level. But that being said, that's not the most significant level. That 103 to 100 is going to be substantially stronger than the previous ones. Alan says buy a 6-pack or a good bottle, good whiskey. Pull up a chair and sit back and enjoy the show because that's how I prep for some coming week, or maybe just get some mushrooms. I'm just going to be drinking my coffee and just watching the market most likely, and just kind of seeing how things go out. Trading in the Zone, yes, that's a great book there. Uh, Fish, can you look at GLD thinking about doing some calls? Yeah, gold is kind of making, I don't know, like a somewhat of a comeback. GLD being the gold trust for SP, or basically the longer, a lot of people that trade this. We are seeing some initial support coming in that 174, 175 level. If we can get any kind of a bouncing pattern here, that would be really great and kind of like leveling off here. But if this thing really just has any kind of movement, we could see this easily just kind of bounce and ricochet higher to around 185 there. But be very careful with that one as well. Jordan, I have nothing to say on Twitter. The thing just got a haircut. Brian, QCOM and Uber. I actually like Uber, honestly, long term. If we get any kind of market recovery, stimulus checks or anything, I think that Uber is going to be kind of taking market share from Lyft. It has been taking market share from Lyft. We are seeing support kind of around where we're currently looking around 32 to 33. If that doesn't hold and the market sells off, of course, Uber is going to be going with it. That $31 is going to be the next overall price target to kind of hold there. And then QCon, Qualcomm, yeah, Qualcomm. Looking for this one as well. Of course, this is a 5G play. Most likely people to play this. This thing has also has earnings coming up, and don't say on the 5th, on the 4th. If this can hold and stay above the 50-day, I think this is going to just be a fine stock to hold in the next coming times. Mm-hmm. Ethan, thanks for coming a member. I appreciate that. Jeremy from Financial Education shorted Piton. Really? He short stocks now? I didn't know he shorted stocks. Um, yeah, I don't know if I would short it. They actually have a pretty good understanding of business. Like I think, yeah, it was somewhat overbought up here, but um, I wouldn't want to short this. I would like to watch the video and see why you would want to do that. I don't know if I could say I could wanted to short this because Piton has just been a very strong move here, and I think that the overall gym segment, um, it was his first short. Oh, I've shorted many things in my life, um, not to the most upward success. Most of the times, if you short something, you have to be completely, utterly, really just fighting the overall trend. Because if it was something easy to short, they could just everyone would do it. With Piton, I'm not sure what levels he's looking at, or I have to look at the video as well. But you told him not to in the comments. Yeah, I should have him. We should talk, and I should tell him to be very careful on shorting stocks if it's his first time. I started out trading and just shorting stocks all the time. But this is definitely a very risky move against shorting stuff. Let's see how I hope it, I don't want to this that Piton to crash, but like we talked about, we have that support around 103 to 400. I just think that Piton, yes, it was somewhat overbought. Shorting it, some of what makes sense when it gets overbought to kind of get some of those people to flush out. But in the long term, I don't think Piton's a short. I'm going to be straight with you. I think Piton's really a long-term buy, and looking on the weekly side, it can come all the way down to 103 to 100. It can even come down to 85, and this trend will still look like a very strong upward trend there. I would love Chamath. I've pinged him multiple times. He's not listening to me. I told him I've bought a lot of his SPACs, especially his open door SPAC. No comment. Nothing. What happened to Snap? So Snap had a great earnings and it had a huge move higher due to the fact of that large deviation move. And now we're seeing that move really break above here. And now everyone tries to recalibrate and reorganize things, potentially looking for some initial support where it's currently at 39 and even down to 37 to 36 for this to kind of hold. But again, this thing has been a monster as it has really broken through a lot of things going forth there. But so I just missed something. Rating Zillow and Redfin. Yeah, Zillow, which is Z, I believe, has been kind of moving down as well with Redfin as well, which I find kind of strange due to the fact that a lot of people that I know are actually moving and they want to get out of the city and move to a house like where I am in Virginia, outside of DC, and just really move out of the city and stuff like that, and move to the suburbs and really take advantage of low interest rates and other kind of various stuff. If you're more fortunate to have a job and be able to work remote, I think a lot of people are going to be doing that. It kind of is the overall case with Piton as well on that move there. Is a fraud is a fade. Yeah, Piton can fade into 100 and a 180 or $86, but I think overall long term it's still a hold, it's still a buy for me. Again, if you saw me, Trevor, I'm not a big gym guy, and I don't go to the gym. Zillow, yeah, we're seeing this kind of continue kind of trend lower. You see, I have a little bit of a mark here. around $83 for some initial support to kind of come in from those levels there. So nothing to really kind of write home about, but we're seeing those kind of trends kind of start trading lower here. We'll see how this plays out there. BA, there we look at BA. Yeah, BA, it's going to be a very difficult one too. It's going to be tied to a lot of things. Of course, with that volatility that we saw, that little bit of market selling off, we're seeing that kind of come into those lows around 148 that we just saw a couple weeks ago, basically in that overall September sell-off. That being said, this is going to be too much of a coin flip for me, especially with BA that we have not seen in a while. With BA, this is definitely something that if you want to hold this long term, you can go right ahead, but this is going to be really testing my patience on trying to holding this. Oliver, is gold breaking out? I'm like, it can be. It needs to show some more support for me. Come look at GAs. Picked up 21 January 25 calls. Thoughts. GE. Sorry, GE. GE. Yeah. Alan, this one has been coming up with some scans. This has definitely been moving a lot. You bought the January 20. Oh, you went all the way to 2022. The $10. They're only 96 cents. Wow. The market makers are not giving that a great opportunity. They're giving that a 41 delta. That's very interesting, Alan. That might be an interesting buy. I like that, actually. Yeah, I'd have to check that one out. That might be a nice little move there. Great call there, Alan, as always. Buy a bike at Walmart. Yeah, I own Walmart stock. Go to Walmart, or just buy it. Yeah, strap an iPad to it. I'm not saying I don't own a Peloton, but I see the market for it. There's a lot of people that I work with and I know who own a Peloton because they want to make it simple and they have the discretionary cash to do so. You got it for 92. Awesome. That might be a really good trade there. Yeah, a GTFO. I know so many folks who bought BA, honestly, because they're like, it's a sound balance ship. It's got a contract with the government who bought it at 400 and then doubled down substantially of putting hundreds of thousands of dollars back into the stock when it dipped like around the 340, 350 range. And of course, they're annihilated right now. They are completely annihilated. Yeah. I don't know if a Peloton's like a microwave. I think Peloton's more like people who are I won't say affluent, but people who have more discretionary cash and that really are into physical fitness and want to take it to the net to take it at home. What do I do for full time? I'm an IT manager, and I don't trade for a living yet. I need to build up the capital to be able to do so. I need to have a very large account actually to kind of trade for a living. Well over $500,000, and I'm not quite there yet. But I think they're kind of coming down with some of the prices on the Peloton, so we'll see how that definitely plays out from there. Alan says MCD and Starbucks, yeah. So McDonald's, Mickey D's, the Golden Arches, what do you want to call it? Those have definitely been selling off hard as well. To kind of be looking at here, with the 5 and 8 aggressively going down here. I don't know what this is tied to or what is going on here. This is definitely a falling from the sky mentality. With earnings coming up, I think that they could do better. Like it's going to be just fine. Um, but that doesn't matter what I care. We're going to looking for some initial support around 210. We saw that pretty strong bounce coming in Friday, but the damage has already been done. Again, with the 5 and 8 crossing through, looking for this potentially to hold, maybe build a baseline around that 110 to around 107 to 108 support level there, and kind of trade sideways into earnings and see how that one plays out. And then Starbucks is actually one that's been coming up my scans here a little bit with earnings that have passed. Again, really hit miss. Really gonna see how excuse me how it trades the next couple days. Again, I really don't want to be doing much of anything because there could be some crazy market volatility come Tuesday and even any day of this week. So I really just want to be kind of sitting in my hands and just waiting for some opportunities to kind of flare up. Ken, what is your favorite restaurant? Favorite restaurant? Um, I love pizza. So I do different kind of scans. I do scans on volume. I do scans on open interest. I do scans on moving averages crossing over, all kinds of things. Yeah, I was crazy heavy in Ethereum in like what year was that? 2017 when Ethereum was I bought into it pretty heavily when it was well below like $50. And then I rode that all the way up to 1,000. It's still one of my best investments that I've ever done in a very short period of time. People are saying cake. Is that Bear's favorite thing? Cake Factory, Cheesecake Factory. Again, this is going to be heavily tied to. This is definitely something that I really don't want to be touching on the 10-foot pole. It's going to be really so heavily tied to all these other kinds of things. Yeah, penny stocks are not really my cup of tea, though. Favorite home cooked meals: pasta, pizza, Cheesecake Factory. Yeah, I don't know if I love Cheesecake Factory. Yeah, see, look at David S. He has a Peloton. I need to get a Peloton, don't I, do, David? I have a small. Oh, what miner do you have, Fish? I almost bought two of the ant miners way back when I was actually gonna get into business with a coworker of mine to gonna go pretty crazy into Ethereum mining with some six GPU rigs that we were gonna be buying. Luckily, I didn't do that. That's a good thing. It's how much is your electric bill? But interesting stuff without a doubt. Love it. Piton, 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 piton. Help them with strength and endurance. Let's see here. So futures market still kind of a little flippy floppy, like we talked about. I'm looking for this box that we have around the market here to kind of show the support that we're looking at here. Looking for if it starts breaking below that 3,200 here on the S&P 500, we could see some further downside. Just be mindful of that. I built it for myself for GPUs right now, and the electric bill is fine so far. Nice. Kenny, can you check out BBBY? I have two bearish plays, both profitable. I see more room to the downside. Any thoughts? That Bed Bath and Beyond. Yeah, definitely. That was a very bearish trade in the last couple days due to the overall market just kind of tanking. Fear of the virus, fear of lockdowns coming again, all kinds of things we want to throw at it, elections or whatever, I don't know. That is looking for some initial support around 19. Doesn't look very strong. These moving averages came down aggressively. Since the 5 and 8 have not crossed through the 21 yet, we did have an overbought on the stock in the long on a very long dated side here. We saw here it being well over 80% or 80 points for quite some time. Now seeing this kind of crossover, not be really able to break above 26, and now seeing some heavy selling coming in, looking for some initial support around 1780-ish levels. Guys, on that note, I'll have another windstorm coming through, and I'm getting tired. I need my beauty rest for tomorrow, especially with the crazy market swings that we're going to get. So I have to definitely be aware and just kind of have some fun times watching. Again, guys, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it and love everyone who came out. If you haven't already, we also have a Discord you can join completely free. That's in the description as well. But that being said, I really thank everyone coming out, and we're definitely going to be doing some live streams this week. Most likely, looking at the election stuff, and of course, some key earnings coming out as well. Sorry, guys, I got to hit the bed. I got a long day tomorrow. Even with the market change and so forth, the time change, it's definitely time to hit the hay. And I'll catch everyone later. All right, guys, have a great evening. Gals, too. Peace.